So we are still to discuss those, right? طيب, I will make it on another presentation, guys, so we can cover all the equations again, but we will make it in an example. This will cover the whole remaining equations that we did not cover before and the previous ones that we have discussed, plus the ones that Dagi has already finished. I'll make it in an example very fast. This from the 6th edition, actually. From the 6th edition, you will find all the equations in one table, and that table will tell you what is the equation, why it is used, and what's the meaning of the results. So if it's more than one, what does that mean? Less than one, what does that mean? What is the budget at completion? What is the budget to complete? And what is the TCIP, and so on. Cool. Let's wait until it opens. We will go fast to the example. We know that we are doing that for planning, estimating, budgeting, and so on. And those are inputs and outputs for your process. I'm looking for an example. I wish I find it very fast. End value analysis. We know what's the definition now. We know what's the planned value as well, end value, actual value, and so on. And to the cost, we have the cost variance, which is the end value minus the actual cost. And if it's less than 1, then it's a negative impact. Less than 0, sorry, it's a negative impact on the project. So we are with a cost overrun. Schedule variance, end value minus planned value. If it's less than 0, then it's a negative impact on the project. Then we are behind schedule. Clear? Variance at completion, sorry, it will equal what is the budget at completion minus the estimate at completion. Now we will come to know all of those. Those are some definitions. We have covered them already. And we have the schedule performance index and value divided by planned value. Always in the equations of variances, the EV will come first. The cost performance index will be also the EV divided by the AC, which is the actual cost. And this will be, if you have more than 1, a positive impact, less than 1, a negative impact on the project for both. Cool? Those are the equations that you need to know. And now we will cover a subject. This is the graph that Naji has already presented. I will come also to the equation of the estimate at completion. It will equal the actual cost plus the bottom-up estimate to complete. Now we will have it in the equation. Please mute, guys. So we have EAC. We have one equation, second equation, and a third equation. Depends on what are the givens in your question. Cool? So those you can refer to the 6th edition, to this table. This table will explain to you guys what are the numbers and what are the equations. I will just present it into a full screen so we can see it in a bigger version together. And what I care for your exam, guys, the meanings. So it will tell you that if you are on a positive value, which means bigger than 0, sorry, if it's a neutral value or if it's a negative value for the schedule for the cost variance or the schedule variance. And it is here. And if you have a VAC, what then the numbers mean? The CPI, if it's greater than 1, equals to 1 or less than 1, I would recommend you that just remember or memorize one of the cases, and depends on that case, all the other cases will show. If you always remember that's less than 1, it's a negative impact on the project. So for example, for the CPI, we are on a cost overrun. If you have a positive value, or if you have a value which is greater than 1, you will know that I know less than 1 is negative, so bigger than 1 is positive. Positive impact on the schedule will mean you are ahead of schedule. If you remember or memorize that the CPI, for example, less than 1, negative impact means overrun, or less or cost overrun. It's not below budget, right? We are crossing the budget. So if you have a greater than 1, it will be a positive impact. Then what that means? We are below cost or below budget. So just memorize one of them, guys. It will help you to solve all the questions of the exam. And you will have some other equations with their meanings. So for example, the TCPI, it will be to complete performance index, and it's a measure for the cost performance that must be achieved with the remaining measures in order to meet a specific or specified management goal. Let's go forward. I'm looking for an example. Those are assumed inversions, so you can refer to them, guys. Those are very good for your exam. Those will help you to solve questions. So the question is, we have a project with a budget at completion of 2050K, and we have completed 40% of the work now. And while we have planned to complete 55% by today, are we ahead of the project or behind the project? We are behind, correct? Because we have planned 55 and we have completed 40. The actual cost is 112K. So are we over cost or below cost? Over budget or below budget? Cost overrun or below cost? Calculate, you need a pen, guys. What are you doing? Calculate it, guys. We have project, I've estimated 250.
We have over cost.
You need, I don't know. You need to prove that with your calculation. The stage is yours. We have Mr. Nagy here calculating, guys. Please, loud.
So 250K
Yeah.
is total, and we have completed 40%. So according to the 40%, it should be, if we take it 40% into 50K is 100K.
So the planned cost for this 40% is 100K. This is the AC, right? The actual cost. Calculate it, guys, by your mobiles. 250 multiplied by 40%, right?
Yes.
It's 100K, so it is correct calculation. We have,
The actual cost,
yes,
AC, is equal to 112K.
great. So we have spent 112K by completing 40% of the scheduled work. So are we within budget, below budget, or over budget? We are over budget. Why? Because the AC is larger than what we have finished, right? What you have done that CV equals EV minus what? AC. The AC is given, the EV you have calculated, and you have done 100 minus 112, which equals minus 12. Minus 12 is a negative, which is less than 0, negative impact on the cost, which means we are with a cost overrun. Perfect. Thank you so much. So let's do some analysis, guys, together very fast so I can complete the explanation. I will have this graph. I will remove this. So we have this graph. We have completed 40%. It is given. And we have 112K spent, which is given. We have a blend of 55%, which is given. We have the PAC, which is already given from what? From the question, correct? So all of the information are given. We need to calculate the EV, which is already calculated on the cost, and we need to know what is the PV. The EV will equal the percent that we have completed multiplied that by the PAC. The PAC is given. The percent that we have completed is given. So we have completed, or we have, sorry, the EV of 100K. The BV, which is the planned, multiplied by the BAC, which is already given. So if you just understand the question, you will have 90% solved. 55% by 250. Calculate it very fast, guys, please. 55% multiplied by the 250. So it is 137K, which is the PV, right? So we know now the EV over the PV equals what? SPI, right?
Yes.
So we can calculate the SPI very fast. EV is 100 and PV is 137. It's less than 1. I don't care for the how much exactly that, but it is less than 1, right?
Yes.
Which means negative impact on the project, which means we are behind schedule, correct? So it's very easy. Let's see the other calculations together, guys. I will go to the next slide. We have calculated now. We know what is the AV, percentage completed. Nagy already calculated. The PV, we know the percentage of planned multiplied by the PAC, which is the budget at completion. So your calculation is 100% correct. We have already calculated the cost variance, so we have it here. We have already calculated the schedule variance, EV minus PV. We have calculated that the EV is 100K minus 137.5. We have it minus, which that means, what that means? Less than 0 means negative impact on the project, means we are behind schedule. Is it clear? Great. So I think what he explained, what I explained last time is clear, correct? So cost performance index, which equals to the EV divided by the AC. 100K calculated, 112 calculated, we have it less than 1, which means negative impact on the project, and means we are losing 0.11, which is 11 cents in each dollar, or $11 in each $100. That's the meaning of this number. Cool? Great. So let's move forward. Schedule performance index equals EV divided by the PV. We have calculated this, we have calculated this. It's 0.73, which is less than 1, which means negative impact on the schedule, which means we are behind schedule. Now it's a new equation, correct? The EAC. EAC is an estimate at completion, which means that we want to know what's the estimated cost once we finish the work, the whole project. Cool. We have also estimate to complete, which means if this is the timeline or the span of the project, from start date to the finish date to the completion date, it's EAC. If we are here and the actual is X, the actual AC, there is a remaining work to be done, correct?
Yep.
What that costs is the budget to complete. Cool? Great. So we have the BAC for the estimate at completion. We know from the equation it's the BAC, which is already given, divided by the CPI. We have already calculated it very easily. So we have it. I will not go to the complicated equations, correct? So I'll have 250 divided by the CPI, which is already calculated from previous slides, right?
Yes.
And we will go with this number. What we have already budgeted or planned is 250. What we will use to finish the work, estimate at completion, is
280.
larger than what we have estimated, which means that we will go with the whole project with a very big amount of addition of cost. Here you are a project manager. You need to decide. Today we are at a completion of 40%, and we know that we will spend 30 extra Ks of dollars on the project. Can I do some fast tracking so I can finish faster with a better cost? Because fast tracking means that you will not be paying more because you are already over cost. Cool? So this is why you need to understand those numbers. Am I clear now?
Yes.
It makes sense, huh?
Exactly.
More than the previous class. So continuing with that, we have the estimate to complete or the to completion, EAC, which we have just calculated, right? Which was BAC over CPI, correct? I have that equation now, so I can go with this number, which is 28 something, right? 0.9, I think it will be here. Yeah, it's here. And minus what is the actual cost. You will know that you need an extra of $168K compared to what you have now spent, and this will be the amount that you need to complete from the 40% to complete the remaining 60%. This is very important to know that this is to complete, means from today, starting today to the end of my project, what is the remaining budget that I have to spend. And the previous equation was talking about what, Yanagi? Was talking about the budget or the estimate, sorry, at completion, which means for the whole project.
The whole project, how much it costs?
Yes. Are we cool?
Yeah.
Estimate at completion based on our current cost, which is the solution of the previous example, using another equation, correct? So you have EAC equals the actual cost plus the BAC minus the EV. This is calculated. This is given. This is given. Correct? So you can complete all of them and you will have the number of 262, which means that we can improve and complete the project at a better performance and spend only 262 instead of what? The 2880, sorry, that we have. Cool?
So that means with the same performance, we have calculated the rest.
Yeah, we have already calculated the rest before. We had 280.
Yeah.
Using some other equation based on the current cost performance, can we finish using this amount only if we do another, for example, fast tracking or change the performance or whatever?
Or planned.
Or what?
Or planned.
Or planned, yes.
So far we have done, we are already late, and rest of the things we have done with the planning.
Yes,
Completed.
this is what we mean by maybe fast tracking or solving or having a better performance. We are planning for the remaining part of the project. EAC by considering SPI and CPI is something else. This one is considering the current cost performance, correct? Considering the SPI and CPI, we will have this equation which will have those numbers: AC given, PAC given, EV calculated, CPI calculated, SPI calculated. So if we have BAC minus EV divided by the sum of the CPI multiplied by SPI, we can go with another equation and solution, correct? So if we consider those for our calculation and our performance, we'll have some other numbers. Let's see what are the numbers. We have the 112K, which is here, and we have the BAC minus the EV, correct? But divided by CPI multiplied by the SPI, we'll have 342 instead of 280. So we need to make sure that we work on those so we can raise them up as long as they are in the equation in the part below, correct? Then as long as I raise X, this amount will be less, correct? So because here we have less numbers for the CPI, which is bad performance or less performance than what is required, we had a larger number for the completion. So estimate at completion can also tell you if you work more on your CPI and SPI to make them better, then what will happen? You will have a less estimate at completion. So it says that your SPI is really bad. You are way much behind schedule. Your CPI is not great, so you are with a cost overrun. Work on them and avoid spending a lot more than the standard formula that we have before. Is it cool? I care for the meanings, guys, more than the calculation itself. For the calculation, you will have the planners to do them. You'll have your team to do them. You need to make the decision. You are the guy to make the decision. Cool? For reality, please make sure that you understand those equations. Those will help you. We have another equation to complete performance index, which is TCPI. BAC is given, EV is calculated, BAC is given, AC is given, correct? So have please the deduction of those two and the deduction of those two and do this division. So you'll have BAC minus AV and we have also the EAC minus AC. So we have two equations for those the same TCPI. You can use them both and you can compare, and if it's related to the BAC will give you a meaning, to AC will give you another meaning. Is it cool? Great. So let's do it together, guys. We have the BAC is 250, EV we have calculated, divided by given minus what we have calculated or what is given, 1.09. Above 1 means you are not likely to hit your planned budget at completion. Is it clear now what's the meaning? You are cool? Another equation given, calculated, and given. 0.89. Below 1 means you are more likely to hit your PAC. Cool? So please make sure that you have those equations and you have the understanding of having those numbers on table, and that's all about those equations. Cool? We did it together, huh?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Great,
for
guys.
invitation.
Great. So I think now the numbers are clear. The example have simplified what we have tried to explain, me and Nagi, this class and last class. So please, guys, have a look on this video يعني, every day in the morning. So you will demonstrate those meanings. Any questions? I think we are fine. This table is very important, guys, and those slides which I have just explained is very important. Cool? Because those are giving you the numbers, those are giving you the examples, and those are building the understanding on what to decide if I have that number as a project manager. If you are a project manager and you can do the calculations, but you cannot make the decision, thank you. I don't need you on the project. If you are a project manager, you cannot do the calculation, but you can build the correct decision based on the numbers. I will have you on board and I will ask the team to make the calculation, or you can just watch a 2 minutes video of Mr. Jasser and you will do the calculations. It's very easy. Cool. Great. So what is the most important part for you as a project manager?
The calculation solution.
Make the decisions based on the numbers. I don't care for the calculations. Cool? If you can make the calculations, then perfect. I will be better. I will not be spending one more salary for a guy who will be doing the calculations. But you will not have the time to do the calculations. I want you to understand the situation, decide based on the situation.